The Galactic Council enforces strict laws against war crimes, unbreakable absolute, the foundation of peace in a fragile universe. Any species that defies them is erased without question, without trial, without mercy. Even the most violent empires obey the decree, knowing that the alternative is extinction. Yet, when the Zelfa descend upon the human colony of Vesta Prime, they do not fear consequences. They believe humanity is weak, scattered, new to the stars, unworthy of retaliation. They believe wrong. The attack comes without warning in the cold silence of space as Vesta Prime orbits its pale blue sun. The colony is young, vibrant, its people still shaping its future, carving homes from the red rock, building schools, planting crops, raising children. Elena Carver is among them, a mother, a scientist, a woman who came to Vesta Prime for peace, for a better life, for her son Daniel. He is only 6 years old, laughing as he chases dust motes in the air, dreaming of starships and endless adventures. He does not know that monsters exist, that some beings do not care for laws or mercy or life itself. The first explosion tears through the sky, a blinding spear of plasma that reduces the central colony hub to molten slag. Sirens scream, the ground quakes, parents grab their children and run. But there is nowhere to run, nowhere to hide as Zelfa shock troops descend like locusts, their black exoskeletons glinting in the firelight, their blades humming with unnatural energy. They do not offer surrender, they do not take prisoners, they slaughter methodically, efficiently, a purge, not a battle, a message, not a war. Elena grips Daniel in her arms, shielding him, pressing him to her chest as the heat of burning buildings scorches her skin. She moves through the chaos, slipping through alleyways, vaulting over wreckage, heart-pounding vision, blurred with sweat and smoke. She whispers to him over and over, telling him it's okay, telling him to stay quiet, telling him to be brave, even though she herself is terrified, even though she knows deep down there is no escape. A Zelfa warrior steps into their path, towering blades, dripping with fresh blood, eyes glowing with cold amusement. It does not hesitate, it does not pause, it raises its weapon and strikes. Elena throws herself forward, a scream of pure defiance ripping from her throat. She is not a soldier, not a warrior, but she is a mother. And in that moment, she is willing to tear the universe apart with her bare hands to protect the tiny life in her arms. But she is not fast enough, she is not strong enough. The blade comes down. The pain is distant, detached, a white-hot blur across her side. The only thing she sees, the only thing she knows is Daniel, his small body jerking as the energy blade cuts through fabric, through flesh, through bone, his little hand clenched in her shirt, until the life drains from his fingers, until the light in his bright green eyes dims forever. The Zelfa soldier is already turning away, dismissing her as another corpse on the ground, as irrelevant as the thousands of others. But Elena does not die, she does not move, she does not scream, she only stares at the tiny lifeless body in her arms, her mind fracturing into a silence deeper than the void, her heartbeat slowing, her breath coming shallow as the universe collapses around her. Nothing exists but the cold, the emptiness, the unbearable weight of loss. And then something inside her shifts, something that should not be possible, a human mind, breaking, reshaping, reforming into something else, something colder, something more dangerous than any warlord, than any empire, than any council decree. She lifts her head slowly, blood dripping from her lips, her eyes locking onto the retreating Zelfa warrior. And she does not see an invincible conqueror, she does not see an unstoppable force, she sees prey. The Zelfa leave that day, satisfied their mission, complete another colony, purged another lesson, taught they do not know they have made a mistake. They do not know they have not created a victim, they have created something far worse. They have created vengeance. Elena vanishes from known space, her name erased from colony records, her existence forgotten by those who did not witness the massacre of Vesta Prime. But whispers begin to spread through the lawless sectors of the galaxy, in places where the Council's authority is weak, where smugglers, bounty hunters, and warlords trade in secrets and stolen technology. They speak of a human woman moving through the shadows, gathering weapons, acquiring knowledge, paying not in credits, but in something far more dangerous, human warfare tactics, long forbidden by the Council strategies, so ruthless, so efficient, that even the most savage species hesitate to use them. She learns the art of silent killing from the Ascari assassins who can slit a throat without leaving a trace. She studies guerrilla warfare from the exiled generals of the Dravok rebellion, who once held an empire at bay. With nothing but cunning and sabotage, she steals blueprints for experimental weapons from black market traders, threatening them with nightmares worse than death. If they refuse to help her, she does not beg, she does not plead, she does not negotiate, she takes what she needs and leaves no witnesses behind. The Zelfar warlords remain unaware of the storm gathering in the darkness. They celebrate their victory over humanity, believing they have proven their dominance. They do not question the first missing patrol ship. They assume it was lost to engine failure or asteroid impact. They do not investigate when a small outpost goes silent, communications cut off abruptly, as if the world itself had swallowed it. They do not see the pattern until it is too late, until entire fleets begin to vanish without a single distress signal, without a single survivor to explain what happened. Then one day, a Zelfar dreadnought emerges from hyperspace, drifting silent, dead. In the void, a salvage crew is sent to investigate. They board cautiously, weapons race, expecting a malfunction, expecting a reactor breach. Instead, they find the entire crew slaughtered, the walls painted in blood, the command deck filled with Zelfar corpses arranged in grotesque displays of violence. None of them died quickly, none of them died cleanly. And on the main view screen, a single message is scrawled in human blood. I see you. Panic spreads through the Zelfar High Command. They launch an internal investigation, searching for the enemy that has infiltrated their ranks. But there is no traitor, no rebel, no foreign power to blame, only a ghost moving unseen through the darkness, leaving nothing behind but wreckage and terror. Still, they do not believe it is one person. They refuse to believe it is just one human until they capture a lone survivor from a destroyed warship, a Zelfar soldier found floating in an escape pod, his mind shattered by what he has seen. He does not speak for hours, his eyes wide unblinking. When he finally opens his mouth, his mandibles clicking in barely restrained terror, he whispers only one name: Elena. The Galactic Council begins to take notice, alarmed by the reports, but reluctant to act. Humanity has not claimed responsibility. There is no official war, no declaration of conflict. The laws against war crimes remain intact. And yet something is happening, something the Council cannot explain, something they cannot control. And as the universe watches, as the Zelfar tremble in fear, the woman they thought they had broken, the mother they thought they had destroyed, is only just beginning. Deep in the lawless sectors of space, where council authority is a distant whisper, where pirates, smugglers, and mercenaries thrive, a new name spreads in hushed voices: a human ghost, a relentless force, something more terrifying than any warlord, a woman called Elena, moving through the underworld, leaving behind nothing but silence and blood. Those who cross her path never speak of her again, and those who help her are rewarded not with wealth, but with knowledge, the kind that makes empires tremble. She does not buy weapons, she takes them. She does not hire soldiers, she turns them. She does not seek allies, she makes believers. Even the most hardened killers, the most ruthless mercenaries, hesitate when she speaks, because she does not speak like a warrior or a general. She speaks like a mother who has nothing left to lose, and that makes her the most dangerous thing in the universe. But Zelfar still refuse to believe one human could be responsible. Their fleets are powerful, their armies vast, their rule uncontested. They have crushed countless civilizations without consequence, without fear. But the disappearances continue. Entire supply lines disrupted, weapons depots reduced to molten slag, commanders found in their own bunkers, throats slit from ear to ear. The pattern is clear, but the answer is unthinkable. So they lie to themselves. They tell themselves, this is a rebellion, this is sabotage, this is anything but the truth, because the truth is impossible, the truth is terrifying, the truth is Elena. Then the first message arrives, a transmission intercepted by Zelfar intelligence, a simple text, no encryption, no hidden code, 5 words written in their own language. Sleep well while you can. The Zelfar warlords order a crackdown. Entire sectors placed under martial law, fleets doubled patrols, tripled the best hunters in the galaxy, hired to track the phantom who haunts their borders, bounty hunters, assassins, soldiers of fortune, the kind who have never failed a contract. But this time they do, this time they vanish one by one, and the few who return come back, broken whispering of a woman who does not run, who does not hide, who waits for them in the dark and watches them suffer. The Zelfar High Command grows desperate. Their greatest generals meet in secret far from the prying eyes of their subordinates, discussing the possibility that perhaps for the first time in their long history they have made a mistake. They know now that this is not war, this is not conquest. This is something else, something worse, something personal. And then their most fortified base, their most secretive research facility, vanishes overnight, reduced to dust before their eyes without a single alarm, raised without a single warning. A final transmission plays on every Zelfar command station across the galaxy, a live feed of their fallen warlord, impaled on a steel beam, his final moments, recorded in silence behind him in the shadows. A figure stands unseen, except for a single human hand, resting on the hilt of a blade, and then her voice, cold, hollow, the voice of a woman who has already died, once speaks 3 final words before the screen cuts to black. I am coming. The Zelfar warlords no longer pretend this is a minor disturbance, no longer dismiss the growing fear that grips their commanders and soldiers alike. The name Elena spreads through their ranks like a sickness, whispered in dark corners, spoken in hushed tones. Her presence is never seen, only felt. Entire battalions go dark before they can even call for help. Warships found drifting in the void, their crews missing their systems, fried, their escape pods untouched, because she wants them to know, she wants them to see the devastation before it reaches them. Elena does not fight like an empire, she does not wage war like a nation, she does not move in straight lines, she is a ghost, a shadow. She strikes where they are weakest, vanishing before they can respond. A mother with nothing left but rage and patience. She poisons their food supplies, cripples their fuel depots, floods their communication networks with messages written in their own blood. She leaves only one survivor from every attack, one voice to spread the terror, to warn the others that she is watching, that she is waiting, that she is coming. The Zelfar deploy fleets to hunt her down, warships bristling with weapons stations, fortified with every defense imaginable. But Elena is not an army, she is not a fleet, she is something far worse, something no defense can stop. She moves in silence, infiltrates their most secure locations, plants explosives in their command centers, leaves traps that turn their own weapons against them. Zelfar officers wake in the night to find their security codes, change their escape routes, cut off their own men, slaughtered while they slept. And always, always, there is a message left behind, a whisper written in the dark. I see you. The Zelfar begin to break, fear creeping into their cold reptilian minds. Soldiers refuse to patrol alone. Commanders keep their weapons close, even in the safety of their bunkers. The warlords hold emergency meetings, demanding answers, demanding solutions. But there are none, because no one knows how to fight something they cannot see, something they cannot predict, something that is always one step ahead. The council finally takes notice. Their envoys arrive in Zelfar space, demanding an explanation, demanding to know why an entire empire is slowly unraveling, why reports of mass disappearances, sabotage, assassinations have reached their ears. The Zelfar hesitate. They do not want to admit the truth, do not want to acknowledge that their greatest threat is not a fleet, not an armada, but a single human woman. But the truth no longer cares for their pride. The envoys are given the reports of footage, the intercepted messages. They listen to the recordings of the last words of fallen Zelfar commanders. They watch the silent security feeds, where shadows move, where lights flicker, where entire rooms of soldiers fall without a sound. And then they hear it, a final transmission, a voice smooth, calm, devoid of emotion, the voice of a mother who has nothing left to lose. Sleep well while you can. Desperation grips the Zelfar warlords. Their fleets are still vast, their armies still strong. But none of it matters, none of it stops the nightmare that is Elena. She does not engage in open battle. She does not fight like an empire. She fights like something worse, something they do not understand, something they cannot predict. She fights like a mother with nothing left to lose. And the worst part, the part that chills them more than anything else, is that she is patient, she is calculating, she is not driven by rage, she is driven by purpose, and that makes her unstoppable. The warlords issue a decree, the greatest bounty ever placed in the history of the universe, a reward so vast entire mercenary factions break their contracts to pursue it. They call upon the deadliest assassins, the most feared hunters, the ones who have ended rebellions, toppled governments, brought down warlords. With a single strike, these killers are legends, each one responsible for the deaths of thousands, each one a master of their craft, each one sent with a single purpose to bring back Elena's head. They vanish one by one. The first is found floating in the void, his ship still intact, but his body broken, his weapons untouched, his eyes wide in horror, as if he saw something he could not comprehend. The second is found in a warlord's own throne room throat, slit from ear to ear, his message carved into the walls in deep gashes. She does not run. The third and fourth and fifth disappear without a trace, their last transmissions, nothing but static and silence, until the sixth manages to send a final message, a voice trembling, fear dripping from every word. Before the feed cuts out, she waits for us, she wants us to come. The Zelfa panic. They are no longer in control of this war, no longer certain of their own power, and for the first time in their history their warlords are afraid. They double their defenses, triple their security, entire planets placed under martial law, civilians forced into curfews, commanders locked in their own fortresses, because they know she is coming. They know there is nothing they can do to stop it. The Galactic Council debates intervention. The destruction of an entire species by a single individual is unprecedented. The laws against war crimes stand unbroken, unchallenged. Yet Elena does not act like an empire. She is not a nation. She has no soldiers, no territory, no demands. There is nothing to negotiate, nothing to mediate. She is a force of nature, a consequence of their failure to protect Vesta Prime. And as they argue, as they hesitate, another Zelfa fleet vanishes, not in battle, not in an explosion, but in complete silence. Not a single distress call, not a single escape pod. Left behind only one thing, a final message carved into the hull of the flagship. I am inevitable. The warlords break ranks. The most cowardly among them flee, abandoning their people, their soldiers, their worlds, entire planets, thrown into chaos as their leaders disappear. Ships desert their posts, crews mutiny, refusing to serve an empire that cannot even protect itself. Even the most loyal commanders know the truth now. They cannot win, they cannot escape. And then a final transmission is received on the secure network of the Zelfa High Command, a live feed of Elena standing in the ruins of their most fortified outpost, her armor dark, her eyes colder than the void, a device in her hands, something ancient, something forbidden, something powerful enough to end worlds. Her voice is quiet, steady, unshaken. You let them take my son. Now I take everything. The Zelfa warlords have never known fear, never known true helplessness. They have conquered worlds, crushed rebellions, wiped entire civilizations from existence. Without consequence, without challenge, they believe themselves untouchable, unstoppable, inevitable. But now they know the taste of terror. They know what it means to be hunted, to be powerless, to be prey. They scramble to respond to Elena's message, to track her, to stop her. But every plan, every countermeasure fails before it even begins. Their intelligence networks collapse, their spies vanish, their encrypted channels flood with false reports designed to spread confusion, to turn them against one another. Their supply chains crumble as key shipments of weapons, fuel, and rations disappear into the void. Entire fleets drift powerless, their energy reserves drained by sabotage, their hyperdrives reduced to slag. And then the first planet falls, not to an invasion, not to an enemy armada, but to a single human who walks through their defenses like a shadow, who disables their shields with codes they do not know how she obtained, who moves through their fortresses unseen, unheard, leaving only destruction in her wake. When the alarms finally sound, it is already too late. The central command station erupts in a series of silent explosions, precision charges placed in critical locations, ensuring maximum devastation with minimal warning. The planetary defense grid powers down its own failsafes, corrupted its security forces, turning on one another as hidden messages play in their comms networks, feeding them false orders, stoking their paranoia. By the time that Zelfa realize what is happening, their capital city is in flames, their leadership in chaos, their soldiers in disarray. And then she appears. Not on a battlefield, not on a warship, not in the safety of a command center, but in the private chamber of High Warlord Vekath, the supreme ruler of the Zelfa Empire. He has surrounded himself with guards, mercenaries, bounty hunters, the best killers in the universe, all armed, all ready, all waiting for the moment she arrives. But none of it matters, because when the lights flicker, when the shadows shift, when the scent of burning circuits fills the air, he knows he is already dead. The first guard falls without a sound, a knife buried deep between his armored plates. The second and third collapse as the emergency lights flicker, casting the room into shifting darkness. The bounty hunters fire wildly, their weapons cutting through the air, but hitting nothing but smoke. And then silence, thick, heavy, suffocating. When the lights stabilize, she is standing before him, her blade dripping with the blood of his protectors, her expression unreadable, her eyes colder than the void itself. Vekaf does not beg, he does not plead. He is a warlord, a conqueror. He has no illusions about mercy, no delusions about survival. He stares at her, his mandibles clicking in defiance, even as his claws shake. You cannot destroy us, he hisses. No matter how many you kill, we are endless, we are strong, we are. She moves faster than he can react, her blade slicing through the air, stopping inches from his throat. She does not strike, she does not kill, not yet. Instead, she leans close, her voice a whisper colder than the vacuum between the stars. You are nothing. She presses a device into his clawed hand, a small metallic cylinder, its surface etched with human words, vengeance is inevitable. And then she steps back, vanishing into the darkness as alarms blare, as his surviving guards rush in, as he looks down at the device and realizes what it is, what she has left him. A countdown. The High Warlord of the Zelfa Empire does not have time to scream. The explosion tears through the heart of the Zelfa Empire, not just a blast, not just destruction, but a message, a declaration, a final proof that no fortress, no warship, no army can stop what is coming. High Warlord Vekaf is gone, his palace reduced to molten slag, his private security force vaporized before they could even react. The detonation is precise, calculated, every command relay, every central hub, every strategic node wiped from existence in an instant. And in the silence that follows, as the smoke and fire rise across the burning capital world, every Zelfa leader, every surviving warlord knows the truth. The war is already lost. Elena does not stop, she does not wait, she does not give them time to recover before they can rally, before they can form a response. Another fleet vanishes, this time not in silence, but in spectacle, an entire armada lined up for a counter-offensive, their formation perfect, their weapons primed, ready to strike back at the ghost that haunts them. And then, without warning, their ships ignite from the inside systems, overridden reactors, forced into meltdown escape pods, jettisoned into empty space before their crews can even board them. And on every remaining vessel, one final message appears on their consoles, etched into their viewports, burned into their navigation screens. Run if you can. Some do, entire sectors abandoned as commanders flee their fleets, scattering into the void, seeking shelter in distant outposts, neutral territories, hidden systems. But there is nowhere to hide, because Elena is not bound by borders, not limited by treaties. She is not an empire, she is not a nation, she is vengeance, and vengeance does not stop until the debt is paid. The Zelfa's allies turn against them, once eager to share in their conquests, now desperate to avoid their fate. Once proud warlords refuse to answer their distress, calls planets they once ruled without challenge rise in rebellion, sensing weakness, sensing collapse. The Zelfa Empire does not just fall, it crumbles from within its own people, terrified, its own soldiers unwilling to fight an enemy. They cannot see an enemy, they cannot stop an enemy that does not fight like a conqueror, but like something worse, something that does not care for surrender or negotiation or mercy. The Galactic Council watches in horror. They have seen wars, they have witnessed genocides, they have enforced laws against the destruction of civilizations. But never have they seen a single human bring an empire to its knees. Never have they seen vengeance, so precise, so unstoppable, so inevitable. They debate intervention, some argue that she must be stopped, that even the Zelfa deserve justice. Others hesitate, knowing that if they declare war on her, if they stand in her way, they too may find their fleets drifting silent in the void, their leaders vanishing in the night, their worlds burning without warning. And then she speaks for the first time since her war began, a transmission broadcasted across every known frequency, not just to the Zelfa, not just to the Council, but to the entire universe, a message not of demands, not of threats, but of simple, undeniable truth. They took my son, and no one stopped them. They burned my world, and no one saved us. They called it victory, they called it justice, they called it war. But this is not war, this is not justice, this is something far worse, and it does not end until they are nothing, until their name is forgotten, until the universe itself erases them for what they have done. I am not coming for peace, I am not coming for surrender, I am not coming for mercy. I am coming for all of you. Panic spreads across the galaxy like wildfire. The Xelpha Empire no longer exists, not in any way that matters. Its warlords dead, or in hiding its fleets, scattered its people, broken its name, spoken only in fear and whispers. But Elena does not stop, because this was never just about the Xelpha. This was about everyone who stood by, everyone who turned away, everyone who let it happen, and did nothing. The neutral systems, the silent allies, the corrupt bureaucrats in the Galactic Council, who let Vesta Prime burn, who let her son die, who spoke words of regret, but took no action, who let monsters rule unchecked because it was convenient. They thought they were safe, that their silence shielded them, but there is no safety anymore, because Elena is not fighting a war, she is delivering a reckoning, and reckoning does not care for excuses. Reckoning does not recognize neutrality. Reckoning only asks one thing: where were you when the innocent burned? The first council station falls without a single shot fired, their defenses disabled before they even realize what is happening, their automated security overridden by codes they did not know existed, their highest-ranking officials locked in their chambers as the artificial gravity fails, sending them drifting helplessly into the dark. By the time rescue ships arrive, they find only a single message written across the station walls in a language older than any of them. Judgment comes for all governments, scramble to respond. Emergency meetings held in secret, desperate attempts to stop what is coming. Entire security networks go on high alert, ships, rerouted, leaders placed under constant guard. But it is all useless, because Elena does not attack with armies or fleets. She is already inside their walls, already beneath their feet, already waiting in the places they think are safe. And then the disappearances begin. A senator vanishes from his private estate, his security detail found unconscious, his chambers untouched but empty. A planetary governor wakes to find her entire data network erased, her personal records replaced with images of Vesta Prime, burning. A corporate mogul who profited from Xelpha war contracts finds himself trapped in his own orbital mansion, every door locked, every escape pod jettisoned, oxygen levels dropping as a single message repeats in his ears over and over and over. You let them take him. The council fractures, some demand action, some demands surrender, some demand negotiations. But Elena does not negotiate, she does not answer their calls, she does not make demands, she does not want their apologies, she does not want their remorse, she wants them to feel what she felt, the helplessness, the loss, the certainty that no one is coming to save them, because no one came to save Vesta Prime. Entire systems declare independence, unwilling to risk her wrath. Colonies revolt against leaders they once feared, planets that once sat in the shadows of the Xelpha Empire, now rising up, no longer afraid. Because if one human could do this, if one mother could bring down an empire, then what excuse did they have to remain afraid? What excuse did they have to remain silent? And then the final transmission comes, a single message sent to every leader, every general, every politician who ever turned away from the suffering of others, who ever stood aside while monsters ruled, who ever profited from the destruction of the weak. 3 words broadcasted across the stars, burned into the memory of every living being who hears them. You are next. There is no war, no battle, no final confrontation, because Elena has already won. The Xelpha Empire is gone, their warlords dead, their fleets scattered, their planets abandoned. The Galactic Council is in chaos, leaders resigning, disappearing, entire governments collapsing under the weight of their own fear. No one knows where she is, no one knows when she will strike next. But they all know that she is watching, they all know that she is waiting, they all know that she has not finished what she started. Worlds that once lived in fear now rise up against their oppressors. Rebellions spark across the galaxy, no longer afraid of the tyrants who ruled them, because the tyrants are afraid of something worse. Corrupt officials resign, disappear, flee into the void, hoping to escape her reach. But there is no escape, because Elena does not need to chase them, she only needs to let their own fear consume them. Some beg for mercy, entire systems sending messages, pledging allegiance, promising reform, pleading for her to stop. But Elena does not respond, she does not acknowledge their desperation, Because mercy was never given to Vesta Prime, mercy was never given to her son, and she has nothing left to give them but the same silence they gave her when she screamed for help. The Galactic Council collapses, unable to function, unable to govern in the face of the terror. She has unleashed laws mean nothing when fear is stronger than order. Treaties mean nothing when no one trusts their leaders anymore. Civilizations that once ruled through power now crumble under the weight of their own sins. And the name Elena is whispered across the stars, not as a hero, not as a villain, but as something else, something more, something eternal. She becomes legend stories spreading of the human mother who defied an empire, who tore down the powerful, who became something unstoppable. Some call her a demon, some call her a god, some say she is still out there moving in the shadows, waiting for the next monster to rise so she can strike them down before they even know she is coming. But no one knows the truth. No one knows if she still lives, if she has finally found peace, if she has finally finished her vengeance, because she is never seen again. Her transmissions go silent, her attacks cease, her presence fades into rumor, into myth, into a warning, passed from one generation to the next, a reminder burned into the history of the galaxy, a lesson that will never be forgotten. Never turn away from suffering, never believe that power makes you untouchable, never forget that even the smallest act of cruelty can plant the seed of your own destruction, because somewhere out there among the stars there may always be another Elena waiting, watching, preparing. And if the universe forgets, if the powerful begin to grow arrogant again, if the corrupt begin to rise unchecked again, then the whispers will start again, the stories will return, the fear will spread. Because vengeance never dies, it only waits.